you the story of who I am. So many stories of where I've been, and now I got to where I am. But these stories don't mean anything when you've got no one to tell them to. It's true, I was made for you. I climbed across the mountain tops, swam all across the ocean blue. I crossed over land and I broke all rules, and baby I broke them all for you. Oh, because even when I was flat broke, you made me feel like $1,000,000. You do. I was made for you. You see the smile that's on my mouth, it's hiding the words that don't come out. And all of my friends who think that I'm blessed, they don't know my head is a mess. No, they don't know who I really am, and they don't know what I've been through like you do. And I was made for you.
That is a good idea.
All of these lines across my face tell you the story of who I am. So many stories of where I've been, and now I got to where I am. Oh, but these stories don't mean anything when you've got no one to tell them to. It's true, I was made for you. Oh yeah, it's true that I was made for you.
Well, actually, since we just started recording, why don't you tell us what your project is about and what inspired you to do it?
Well, Conversations with Daniel is really what this web series is about building towards a live performance of a one-woman show called Love Letters to Daniel Craig. And I decided to name the web series Conversations with Daniel Craig because, first of all, it continues upon the mental health aspect of my Letters to Daniel project that went from memoir to motion picture. And I don't know, this is just a continuation of my mental health advocacy and, kind of doing therapy through self-therapy through art, because I recently graduated from the therapy portion of my treatment and now I'm on meds and monitoring with a psychiatrist. And this is just a way to process with those, because bipolar disorder doesn't go away. So it's a way to process that and to help other people, as well as helping myself while I'm doing it.
Okay, so what do you have for us today?
Well, I have some letters, or actually I have I'll do the ones that are strictly just me, because I have one or two where it has some other characters in it, and I didn't prepare you to be on camera or anything, so I'm not going to dump that on you. I'm going to read and I'm just going to start reading them, but I do warn you, when I start talking about the people I've lost, even thinking about it now makes me emotional. So I'm sorry if I cry. That's the end of the letter. I feel so self-conscious reading this to you because you haven't heard, right? You see, the cat's out of the bag. I like Daniel Craig, and you've seen letters to Daniel,
right.
and you've seen, the gist. And as I go deep, I don't know if it's going deeper, but it's clarifying some of the stuff that has come before. It's not just me going, "Oh, Daniel Craig, you're so hot, you're so beautiful." No, me and Missy say we do an independent level budget with commercial ideas, and it makes us land in the middle. And it's like, "Oh no, we don't like you because you're too commercial," and then they go, "Oh no, we don't like you because you're too independent." So, but we've been very fortunate with the movie Letters to Daniel, because either this Monday or next Monday, it's coming out on DVD.
All right.
Woo woo! You got any questions for me?
Let's see. Who's distributing it for you?
Green Apple Entertainment.
Okay, and then where can people buy the DVD?
It's a site called MovieZing, MovieZying.com.
Oh, okay.
And you just type in Letters to Daniel. Now, it goes live sometime between this Monday and next Monday.
Do you think it'll ever be available, say, like at places like Target, Walmart, Best Buy, for example? Or...
Well, it's movie on demand, so it might be available in the sense that you can buy it, but it'll take a minute for you to get it. Like when you on Amazon.
Yeah.
It is available on streaming on Amazon Prime, and it has the coolest artwork. And I think it does. I think I won the artwork jackpot with that, as you know. So I think I was saying something about the artwork. I think we hit the jackpot with our film artwork with Green Apple. And it's like, if you're an author, you don't have much control over that aspect. And it can either be very good if you're with the publisher, or it can be in between, and then it can be very bad.
And that's why you should go indie.
Yeah.
Because then you have control over your covers.
Yeah, I'm not as gifted as you when it comes to that. I cheat with Canva.
Well, I don't do my own covers.
Yeah. But, I know.
But what I do is I look like on Amazon Top 100 in my genre to see
and you
what's
look
selling.
At what's comparable.
But I actually know your cover for Letters to Daniel is good. I do like it.
Yeah, the cracked and with all the expressions on Megan's face.
Yeah. I think definitely you have the graphic artists knew what they were doing.
Yeah, what we had before that was good, but I think it just took it up a level and made it look that much more professional.
Yeah,
and with and of course there's a difference between theater and film. I'm not an actress, so when I feel stiff, because we're going to have to spend a month making you teaching you to be Jason Mewes. Because have you ever heard Kevin Smith tell that story?
Oh no.
He wrote the part of Jay for his friend Jason Mewes, and he said we had to spend a month teaching Jason Mewes to be Jason Mewes, to be natural in front of the camera. And I'm not very good at being natural in front of the camera when I'm reading off. So right now I'm trying to practice just memorizing it and getting through it And the next scene,
So basically, you're trying to keep it raw and real.
yeah. So if I'm a little stiff, what the idea is with the web series is to see me gradually get better, get more comfortable, and this has other characters, so we're gonna skip that scene. What's this? Okay, I may cry during this one. Actually, I did cry when I was at the church reading it a couple of weeks ago with Missy. So, yeah, I'm like, But what other questions you got? You're good with these questions. You're a good interviewer.
Let's see. Okay. How did your, for people who don't know, I mean, I know, but for people who may not know, how did your whole journey with Letters to Daniel get started?
Okay, so this is one of those things where everybody around me has a story about how they were a part of it, and I gotta be honest with you. Missy, I had a blog, a writing blog, right? And it was like award winning. I had all these little like badges that people sent me when blogging was the thing, not vlogging.
Right.
And I did it. It was about how to write and all that stuff. And what the hell did I know about professional writing? I was on disability. So, I started writing. I had this idea. I was like, okay, it was a fluke almost. Missy kind of suggested it. She's the one person who gave me the kernel. Like, why don't you blog your feelings? Like, in other words, just keep a journal. And actually, my therapist was always on me. Keep a journal. You'll become aware of your patterns with your triggers. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So it's too much work, and I was lazy. So, but one day I decided I wanted to write a letter to Daniel Craig. And I was like, well, he's not on social media. I can be flippant, I can be funny, I can say things like he came out of the water and it was like woo woo woo, and I don't have to worry about him ever seeing that or reading that. And everything okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I started writing a fan letter, and it was just an open letter to him of appreciation for his work and how it inspired me through my illness, and it had gotten me where I was to that point, which was like 15 contracts with small presses. Let me just accentuate, they were independently published and small presses. And that's not, there's no shame in that. It's just as legitimate as, say, traditionally published. But for me, you can definitely go back and see the improvement between then and now. But I was telling him about my career, such as it was at the time, and I was just giving him thanks and gratitude for my healing process, because it actually, even though I wasn't a superstar and I'm still on disability, full on confetti, if we're just getting real here, I was just wanting to tell him thank you. And I knew that his gatekeepers probably wouldn't let fan mail through. And this was like between Casino Royale and Skyfall. There was it was after Quantum of Solace, and there was that big pause because of the writer's strike. MGM was dying. They didn't know what was going to save them or anything, and and Universal and all that gobbledygook with the James Bond brand. And that's when I discovered it during this dangerous part where it might not go on. So, but as I'm writing this letter, open letter online, on a blog. I've created a blog, and I'm halfway through it, and I go, well, fuck, I I've created a platform for myself. I was trying to cram my whole life story into a blog post, basically. And you know as well as I do, that's not, you're not going to cram your whole life story in a blog post. And so I said, why don't I make this my memoirs? So I chose to tell my memoirs. It wasn't, even though it was a little fangirly in the beginning, but less and less so as the blog went on, it became almost like it was an open memoirs. It was like I told him it was like Dear Daniel Craig, but it was like more like Dear Diary or Dear God and that sort of thing, because it wasn't about him. It was essentially about my journey, and so that's really how I got started. And then my publisher said, "Well, why don't you get a group of bipolar writers and do a blog?" And I was like, man, okay, you know, keeping bipolar writers on task is a bit like herding cats, because they're going to be at different points in their cycle.
Let me just say that even just working with other bloggers on a blog, and like, you know, one blog's like one day, one blog's not. I've done that, and eventually it just kind of like fades out like nobody, you know. Like,
yeah, it fizzles.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it got started. That's really how the journey got started.
Okay. So you have bipolar disorder.
Right.
And I have a friend who sadly passed away back in 2018, Carl Brown,
right,
who also had bipolar disorder. And he gave me a book to read, and it talked about like artists, writers, painters, you know, actors, who a lot of them have bipolar disorder. And what do you think about that correlation between being artistic, creative, and having a mental illness?
Okay, so I often say, someone will ask me if you could take, because they have said, if you could take a magic pill and bipolar disorder goes away, would you do it? I would say, I don't know. That's the true answer. Because bipolar brings a lot of negative with it. And a lot, like if I could, get rid of the pain, if I could X out the depression, if I could X out the impulsive buying, spending spree, whatever, and, you know, yes, but it would be with the caveat that I could keep that. We call it like riding the wave. You find that balance between, right, and you might be just a little bit up, not completely, but you want to be careful, and you ride that wave of creativity and energy. And then the downside is if you're depressed, I usually try to edit or rewrite in that time, but that's a dangerous time too, because your brain you want just a little low, because if you get into the serious lows that come with bipolar disorder, you may tear it up and throw it away because you're thinking, oh, this sucks, this is shite, you know, and you may not be right. But I would say, I don't know. I think it's there. It's prevalent. It's prevalent enough to say somebody should do a study on it. But to just say it out of hand, well, my psychiatrist told me once, he goes, listen, bipolar disorder is tricky. Because your brain, someone says, well, why can't you think your way out of it? Well, your brain is how you think your way out of stuff, and if it's hamstrung. But I think there is some truth to that. Is it wholly? But I think there really is some truth to that. I think it should be studied further.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, too, that not every writer, not every painter, not every, actor has like depression or bipolar disorder. It just seems like it's, something, though, that there is kind of a connection there in some cases.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it warrants investigation.
Okay, and we're starting again, and give it a few more seconds, and hold up, and 3, to...
I'm not saying they don't have talent. I'm saying there's a complete lack of willingness to hustle outside the art part. Something about their nature has them acting like prima donnas waiting to be discovered at the soda shop. And in the creativity aspect, they are geniuses. It drives me fucking crazy. They could literally have it all. Professionally, anyway. I'm so close professionally to having what I want. I find myself having to pivot once more. Anyone who knows me knows my spiritual life is not a traditional one, but my choice of film for my first feature has predetermined my path. I believe in God. I believe in the power of prayer. I also know not any one religion has a market on spirituality. I've always believed in Jesus, but I believe in the healing power of being a storyteller ultimately. Didn't Jesus teach in fables? I have a message of hope and healing and not allowing one to be defined by our illnesses, embracing our faith, accepting professional medical help, medication, and therapy. A strong external support network that can take a beating, because when you heal or struggle, you will test those who you love and who you love the most. I call movie theaters my church and the screening rooms there my sanctuaries. And maybe this is going to sound a little blasphemous. The stories there fill me up and heal me. Especially your movies, Daniel. I don't know why, but something in them call out to the scared little girl who was sexually abused by multiple men and make her feel safe, and by extension, they make the adult version of myself feel okay. My biggest fear, if I get left alone with my thoughts, is someone breaking into the house I live in, raping me, and killing me. I try not to be a fear-driven person. So when I feel that way, I turn to your films, Cowboys and Aliens, and the James Bond collection. I know it's silly saying this, but the discovery of your work has kept me anchored and given me hope, and ultimately the career I've always dreamed of. So this show, this movie, this act of creation is my love letter to your work and joy and healing it has brought me. There were times when the darkness and pain threatened to swallow me whole. I begged for relief from the gods, from the medical establishment, from friends and family. Initially, I felt abandoned by them all. Bipolar is a disease of extremes. One of its hallmarks is that it leaves you believing everyone has left you behind, when the truth is anything but. Bipolar's extremes make you impulsive. You do things that are outside your norm. You violate boundaries. You smother your relationships. Sometimes you blow them up. I'm not a cakewalk. I'm not always the friend my friends deserve. But believe it or not, Daniel, your work and how you treat your family and friends keep me on the straight and narrow and seeking to stay stable. Getting stable was like wandering in the desert with very little water. Staying stable is like, oh my God, I got stable. How do I make sure I keep all these water buckets from going dry? So you utilize all your tools. When you don't, or maybe your symptoms show things tend not to go your way. Daniel, I'm so thankful I discovered your work. It changed my life. It saved my life. And because of that, my dreams are coming true.